Hello folks, welcome to Dog Walk POV in nature. That's right, leaving Babylon back to the garden where we belong, because Babylon's built on blood. Ain't that right, GMO dog? Anyway, here we are. Today I'd like to do a super long overdue video. This probably, thinking about doing this video has probably cost me quite a substantial amount of cognitive bandwidth, mate, and general energy, because I've thought about doing this video for so fucking long, and this is not really the right setting to do it because I'm just on a fucking dog walk. But it's urgent, because actually I just see a post that made me think about doing this video, and the post was about basically all of the UK mainstream news sources, right? Like, they're talking about the UK government has just openly approved a £50 million geoengineering operation to dim the sun, right? And this is verified on like mainstream news. And yeah, that's what, like, the post I saw was like, oh, like, what now do you think, now that basically, you know, it's not a conspiracy theory anymore because it's been absolutely like disclosed. So what do you think? The post said, what do you think now that the supposed conspiracy theory has now gone mainstream, basically, where it's no longer a niche corner of the internet talking about these things. It's actually like The Guardian, The Telegraph, The OXSN Mail, whatever the fuck. It's like full blast mainstream news. What's the word they call it? Disclose, or anyway, it's not a conspiracy theory, basically. I spoke about this for a long time, yeah, where it's basically, what I don't get is like, and the reason I bring it up is because basically Leo Gura of actualize.org, and look, I'm going to do a more proper video when I'm in a more proper setting, but I need to just get this off my chest because it's so long overdue, and I feel like it's partly an urgent message, yeah, because I don't inherently know or think that Actualize or Leo Gura has bad intentions, right? I know he explicitly has a video saying everyone acts with good intentions, yeah, and I have studied Leo passionately for years and years, honestly. Like, he is super inspirational to me, and he's changed my life. Often the way that it goes with these public intellectuals is they have golden nuggets in their teachings, and you have to take some and leave some. I reckon Leo would find this himself whenever he listens to any public intellectual on the internet. It's they say some good takes and some bad takes, where, you know, they might be good in some dimensions but rough around the edges in other dimensions. They can definitely have factually correct information regardless of who they are. So for me, who am I? Like, you might look at my YouTube history or my whole, you know, do some digging up on who I am and then discredit me, but like, I can still tell you factually correct information. Like, if I, you know, I can still like tell you right now, hypothetically, like, if I was educated, so to speak, just to drive the point home, like, I can tell you factually, like, that is a French bulldog, yeah, or I can tell you about grounding, about the benefits of connecting your feet with the earth and a natural environment, yeah. That doesn't matter who I am, yeah, I can still tell you something that's factually correct, yeah. And so can Leo. And I've learned a lot from him, and he's a great guy, and like, I've learned so much from him, yeah. But I think, like, maybe he went through the university and had his mind like molded and crafted to an extent by a system of that nature, because I sense indoctrination in him where he's so good, especially with the psychedelic and the philosophy and the personal development, yeah. But I don't get why he comes and like defends the system quite a lot, in some ways. Should we come this way? Good girl. Where, like, basically the start of his video, the main video that I'm talking about, is called The Sneaky Psychology of Conspiracy Theories. And I think he kind of fucked up that video. He pinned a comment saying that it was meant to be a meta episode, which is basically where I think he's not talking about any individual kind of so-called conspiracy theory. He's talking more about the structure of like what actually attracts people towards like a kind of conspiracy psychology. Kind of like Payday Monsanto is probably the best example of like fucking basically like if you can convince yourself that you're a victim, then you can like avoid taking responsibility. And he's saying basically like people spin conspiracy theories because their life isn't going the way they want it to, and they want to be a victim and stuff to an extent, and I get that, and he's right. But at the start of the video, he starts it with this text prompt, and it says like, oh, something like 70% or 65% something Americans believe in the chemtrail conspiracy theory, right? And he says that at the beginning of his video, and this is exactly what I'm saying. Now, I do actually agree with Leo's overall point, but basically what I would like to propose to Leo, almost one-on-one, is I think it would do a lot for you, and this is honestly my deepest intuition, and I've tried my best to have intellectual integrity overall when it comes to things like this that I really give a fuck about, especially when I'm talking about actualize.org, yeah, because I did literally, like, I've literally went through hundreds of hours of actualize.org, and I've had to, it's kind of a shame because I've had to slowly fall out with him because of his bias against conspiracy theories, where I understand that you're better off taking responsibility in that. But what it is like, basically, when you're saying that chemtrails are a conspiracy theory, even though they've actually been completely admitted and disclosed, like, forget what the word is as well. Then, like, you know, what are you doing? Because it's like, it's not a conspiracy theory, it's like factual truth that you can just research and fact check if you want to. So I don't really understand, like, you know, fucking, what the fuck is up? Because like he's denying like the chemtrail conspiracy, like most of culture does, even though they admit it in broad daylight. And also, you don't have to believe anybody because you can actually witness it yourself. Like, you literally like you go about your day and you watch the fucking planes come out, and then they start leaving this mist, this trail, and it slowly expands and it modifies the weather. So you don't, like, this is what I don't get, is there's all this speculation on the internet, yeah, about like, are conspiracy theories debunked or not? Reasons why this insider thinks conspiracy theories are actually true, or like, where it's like all this speculation, like Leo saying, oh, so many people believe in the chemtrails conspiracy theory or whatever. It's like, you don't need to believe in it, it's evidently right in front of your face. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, if you literally just witness it with your eyes, like, it's a clear blue sky, there's fuck all wind, it's sunny day. Because I used to be a bin man, yeah, so I used to see this a lot. I wake up in the morning, it's a clear blue sky, the planes come out, they leave the line, and then the line disperses and it blocks the sun. And I often say this is like, just regardless of the substance of the trail, one thing that you can definitely confirm is that there is like a man-made artificial weather manipulation. And you can validate this with your own eyes. You don't have to go on YouTube and see what this guy says versus this guy, or reason why conspiracy theories debunked. It's like, no one debunks it, because I witness it with my own sense perception, intuition, and just basic cognition with my fucking brain cells that haven't been completely eroded by the endocrine disruptor epidemic and all these toxins and that, which, ignore that last bit to an extent. But what I'm saying is, as well, because like Leo, he got the COVID jab, yeah? Bear man was salty at him for that. And that's what I mean, he's such a truther, but he has this major blind spot where I swear down, like, in a way, there's two lanes of awakening. I know that Leo Gura says that there's only one transcendental conspiracy theory, which is solipsism. And keep in mind, I've had solipsism breakthroughs. I've done like 12 dried grams of shrooms at once. I've had like 150 heroic doses. I literally followed philosophy with my cognition until I literally pierced the veil and the entire dream collapsed in front of me into pure synchronicity, right? I've literally met God. I've done the psychedelic core shit, right? And I follow him hard with that. And that's actually one thing that he's great with, to be honest. But what I don't get is how he can be so on point with so much, but then he still, like, I think because he got the COVID injection, yeah, which I hope that he can be honest with himself, where like he had a video called The Psychology of Being Wrong, and that was after he left for a while, and I was kind of hoping, or like that he would admit or realize that he was maybe wrong about the COVID thing, but he actually seemed to still be defending the COVID jab. And look, if it worked for him personally, like, and he didn't get negatively affected by it, or so he thought, then fair enough. But like, I wonder what he thinks about the evident research of the poison and the toxicity of the jab, because it's evident now. Again, it's not a conspiracy theory like anti-vax. It's like literally like just factually being documented at this point. Get the ground in electric right now. So yeah, I just noticed this general artificial bias that Leo seems to have. I haven't really kept up with a lot of his super most recent stuff, surprisingly to me, in a way. Like, I remember he said there was an old video saying, one day you'll transcend actualize.org. And about 2-3 years ago I was thinking, fucking hell, how am I ever going to do that? Like, his teachings are so advanced. Oh, it's going to take me years to transcend actualize.org. But I ended up transcending it in a way that I didn't really anticipate, which was basically slowly realizing that he has a rather Babylon energy. The Matrix Unveiled School of Mysticism had a video that he deleted, but he was on about potentially trauma that Leo doesn't recognize in himself. And I think basically cultural conditioning, I think to an extent, has gotten into Leo. Leo says about how socialization can make you stupid, yeah, and he spent his university time alone, but he still had university time. How did you manage to do that, Luna? You know, he spent like years and years going through the university education system, so to speak. And I think basically that has given him an establishment bias. I think there's actually a high chance that he is actually some form of controlled opposition, Talmudic eyes, by Payday Monsanto type vibes, something like that. In terms of like, because he has said to himself, like, he could do a much better job at making himself look less suspicious, let's say that. In terms of the fucking, he has said, like, he goes, but often he goes, but Leo, like, he talks about, like, he'll make a point and then he'll talk as if he is the audience and go, but Leo, how come you think this? Because of, and like one time he goes, but Leo, you're just saying that because you're establishment and it's helping you or something, like to get a paycheck or something. Vaguely, I remember, I can't remember really. And he was like, yeah, I mean, you could make that argument. Like, he has little suspicious comments, yeah. And at certain points, I've become pretty confident that this guy is like actually on their side. Where like the reason he's denying chemtrails and he's promoting the jab is because he's actually almost a form of controlled opposition. But I don't want to believe that's the case. I would love to believe, like Leo says, that everyone acts from good intentions, yeah. I would love to believe in a way that Leo has actually slipped up and made a cognitive blind spot error, where he's actually, basically, he's developed an unconscious, over-the-top bias opposing conspiracy theories, I reckon. Where basically, even though conspiracy theorists are mad, including potentially myself, and a lot of, I understand that, and I understand you're better off taking like sovereign responsibility over your own energy field and shit, and just not being a victim. But basically, like, I think he just doesn't give certain conspiracy theories enough credit. I understand the meta structure, where, like, what is the point in being a conspiracy theorist? You're better off devoting your attention to other things. Like, he says, so what if one of these conspiracy theories are true? You've still got to develop yourself. But what I'm talking is, like, you just have to be open-minded. You can't close your mind to it, because I know that Leo said as well that he'd been going through a lot of pain over the past 2 or so years. He also has health problems, and Leo himself has explicitly stated that health is a sign of holism, holisticness, right? And I think that Leo is missing a facet in holisticness, which is that he is giving too much of a bias opposing conspiracy theories to somewhat seem intellectually superior than the conspiracy theorist, which I do understand, but I think it is not balanced, quite frankly, where so he's had health problems his whole life, and I think that a lot of that is around him basically being skewed towards almost defending the system, because I think that he's got pissed off with how stupid conspiracy theorists can be and how blindly victim mentality they can, like, they don't even know that they're a victim to themselves. And I think that has made him develop a over-the-top, unbalanced, skewed bias opposing conspiracy theorist, because he personally did not and does not want to associate with such a mind state, because he would much rather like develop and instead of externalizing the problem, he likes to internalize the problem, which I think is right to an extent, but I think he could be unconsciously gaslighting some of his viewers, where like you never know what people individually are going through. And also he talks about at the start of the conspiracy, the sneaky psychology behind conspiracy theories, he says that people, basically, there is a wealth disparity in the world, right? And he says that like the rich get richer and the poor get poorer to an extent, sometimes, or like something like that. Or just the wealth disparity where, you know, the rich have all the money and then people are fighting for scraps, you know? And he says that makes people turn into conspiracy theorists, because they want to have an explanation for this, because their survival is, you know, they're trying to survive and they're in a tight poverty survival situation, and then they want to conspiratize and gossip and make up all these theories about how the evil reptilians are doing this on purpose, right? And that's how he deconstructs it at the beginning. But to me, yeah, he actually kind of contradicted himself in that, because it's like, he's saying, oh, you're conspiracy theorists just because of the wealth disparity, when actually you just don't understand like how difficult the logistics are of like the modern world and that. And I hate this kind of attitude of like, I had a co-worker who, he would diminish all of my conspiracy anti-Babylon type of stuff, was saying like, oh, but if you don't pay taxes, who's going to empty the bins? Shit like that. Silly argument, really. But what I was saying just now is but yeah, sorry, so he's saying that people are basically looking for like an explanation to the wealth disparity, so it makes them conspiracy theorists, because we seek explanations. We want to be able to explain to ourselves and just demonize somebody easily for the complex survival situation, challenging survival situation. And yeah, fair play. But also, like, the wealth disparity actually is a conspiracy in itself, where like it's basically artificial scarcity, where like poverty is like manufactured and we don't actually need like poverty really much at all. And like that's what I don't get. It's like there's because when Leo is talking the way he is about self-responsibility and not being a victim, and I do get it totally, like, and he's right about that, but also it's like when you actually go and spend times in these like poverty-stricken areas, and I know that Leo has seen documentaries on certain third world poverty-stricken areas, but it's like, where is the poverty coming from? And like that to me myself is like, that's a conspiracy. It's like, it's not that I'm looking for reasons, like I'm looking for someone to demonize and blame for the poverty, and like oh, everyone's fighting for scraps at the bottom and they all want to find someone to blame and to gossip about, but it's like, yeah, because like the poverty actually is a conspiracy in and of itself, in a way, where it's like because when you get in touch with like eco-village awakening harmony insights of like ayahuasca retreats and how the earth is built in abundance, and when you break down how governments works, banks work, and you get in touch with like what we were taught in school versus, if you can even call it that, versus and that's another side note, is Leo has said explicitly that he recommends that you take schools seriously, and I get that to an extent, but I'm happy that I didn't really pay attention much in school because I tuned out a lot of the indoctrination. I think that's why I wasn't listening, because they were teaching me lies. School was teaching me about the food pyramid and stuff. Stay healing. But yeah, I just think yeah, like Leo's debunking conspiracy theorists and saying that they are just looking for like explanations for the poverty, but the poverty is the conspiracy in itself, because there shouldn't need. How is there people on this earth that don't have clean water or access to food when earth is built in abundance? Like, a lot of my awakening insights, they come from researching eco-villages and things. And I want to distinguish, there's almost two lanes of awakening. There's like the metaphysical God consciousness awakening of the dream collapse in psychedelic synchronicity. And that's like the absolute most awakening. And like, I do recognize that, and I've had that. But I would like to distinguish another lane of awakening, which is like indoctrination awakening. Like, if you were born into a cult, and then as you got older, you slowly realized you were in a cult. And this is concepts that I know that Leo can understand, because he spoke about things like this. You know, you would wake up, so to speak, to the realization that you was born into an indoctrination culture. And that is like a self-deception type thing, to incarnate into a brainwashed cult, and then to blindly go along with that for the first 10, 15 years of your life, and then to slowly wake up to the fact that it was bullshit, right? So, for example, me, I woke up to the fact that the doctor was giving me fake, fucked up medicine, and that the doctor don't actually know shit about health, yeah? And that's another thing. I think Leo has a bias towards the medical system, and that's, I think, the reason partly why he got the COVID jab and he went with that is actually partly because of he's developed a bias where Leo has had to learn to lean on the modern medicine industry due to his health problems. Therefore, when they go, oh, look out for the scary virus, I think he is more inclined to trust them sort of institutions and to have fear about his health, because he has actually spent a lot of his time going to modern Western doctors. And he reckons he's tried a lot of spiritual alternative stuff as well. He also speaks about his bit of a digital addiction as well, which is an interesting thing. But I notice he has like a synthetic web. Well, basically, sorry if I've left some stuff in the dust and I've kind of bounced off the walls a little bit, but get this. So some people, a lot of the most awakened people that I know, they have almost a organic ideology, so to speak. It's not really an ideology, it's a philosophy. Where it's like they stand by like Mother Earth and they say nature is the cure, right? And like they just go towards what is natural more and more. And it's like this bias towards organic. I find that Leo has a lack of that. And that is actually why I slowly distance myself from him. Because I realised slowly over time that he is actually quite Western and quite artificial and quite Babylon. Where like... he would defend the Western modern system. He would big up things like the COVID jab, which I got to be even careful about saying if I don't want to get taken down by YouTube, which are still defending it for some reason, because their terms of service are tied with the World Health Organization, even though they've explicitly stated that, like, even when I talk about actual factual verified stuff, they still take my video down, which doesn't make any fucking sense. And there's things you got to say in order to make it, which is partly why Leo is getting on alright. And that's it, you know, you have to fucking, you're not allowed to talk about certain shit if you actually want to make peas, to an extent. But yeah, basically, so I find that Leo, he's up for example, when he done psilocybin mushrooms, he will do like an alcohol extract of mushrooms. Or he'll do like a synthesized 5-MeO-DMT. And the Matrix Unveiled School of Mysticism spoke about this as well. It's just about how certain, some people understand the organic spirit of psychedelics, and other people don't have a problem with synthesizing DMT or something. Well, like, I don't know, some people there are a lot more in tune with nature, and then, like, Leo Gura, he'll do ketamine, for example. And then he'll get something like the COVID jab. And he recommends doing all your journaling virtually in the virtual world. And he's also actually spoke a bit about some of the more suspicious stuff that he said is about, he talks about future singularity hive mind, Neuralink type stuff, where like in the future we might end up joining some kind of like artificial hive mind with some advanced technology. Good goal, Looney. But yeah, fuck knows. Anyway, I'm not really ready to do this video properly because I'm just on a dog walk. But you know, yeah, that's it. For me, it's just like he in his video, like the sneaky psychology behind conspiracy theories. Another thing he says is like he's defending Bill Gates, and he's saying, "Oh, Bill Gates has got enough money." But it's like when you actually look into like why is it like why can't he research stuff about the World Health Organization, the World Economic Forum, like Klaus Schwab and the Great Reset? Like, I get it. Like maybe I'm wrong. But I care about Leo, I swear, and like to see him make an epistemic blunder of this nature makes me quite sad, and that's why I'm making the video, because I would really like for him to wake up a bit. I think he's getting fucked over by the system a bit, and he don't even realise it. I think that he's putting too much trust. He even said in a video about his the psychology of being wrong. He said that he's realised that he put too much trust and authority in doctors. And like MDs, like medical doctors, versus ND, which is like naturopathic doctor, I think. Come on, Loon. I think some sources I recommend for Leo to look at is Dr. Robert Morse, ND, Dr. Sebi, Yaki Awakened, who's like an alkalinity guy. And these are health coaches and stuff, to be honest. He should listen to Mr. Traumatic. And Payday Monsanto. I think I listen to a lot of Payday Monsanto. I also listen to a lot of Leo Gura. And they balance each other out. They're like actually the yin and yang in a way. So check them out. But yeah, for me, it's when you go and spend time in these poverty communities, you know, and then there's someone like Leo. Leo seems like a gaslighter to them lot, because the poverty community, it's not a conspiracy to them. It's evident that they are getting fed off of like a battery. There's modern slavery still exists. Leo speaks about wage slavery as well. So that's the thing, is Leo knows about certain conspiracy theories. He talks about the social matrix. And this is something that, and quite an interesting point, and this is partly why I listened to Leo, or why I did. Get this. So Leo has a bias against conspiracy theories, right? However, he still does actually entertain some conspiracies, or conspiracy theories, right? So I've screen recorded the ones that he does actually, because in the video about the sneaker psychology of conspiracy theories, he lists a few conspiracies. He goes, "But Leo, what about the conspiracies that actually are true?" or something, and he goes down a list of them. And I've screen recorded and exported that, because it's like, it's interesting when someone who has a bias against conspiracy theories still knows that some of them have actually, over time, been proven to be factually correct and are no longer conspiracy theories. They have been verified, disclosed, declassified, that's the word I was looking for earlier, and kind of, you know, admitted to, right? And he goes down lists of ones that have actually been verified to be true. So it's interesting to me because it's like, it's a different threshold where like, okay, maybe half of the conspiracies that I've entertained are bullshit. Fair enough. But even people who are biased against conspiracy theories and attempt to take radical self-responsibility and self-ownership, they still do entertain certain conspiracies. Therefore, not all of them are bullshit. Also, I don't need to hear shit, by the way. I know what they're doing to the sky. I know, because my intuition is on fire, bro. And I've had my own astral fucking awakenings and shit. I've had like next level starseed astral traveling shit. And he laughs at starseed stuff a bit. And honestly, I think that he has blind spots, and he doesn't know that he has blind spots, to be honest. I don't think he's quite... I think he's a bit in an echo chamber, where I think a lot of these conspiracies, they could expand his psychology a bit. He should research Dr. James Giordano. The advanced technology of, like, how would you know what certain individuals are going through? How do you know if certain individuals are or not being gang stalked by a certain organisation? How would you know that? There's no way that Leo Gura can tell me 100% that he knows that there is not an... Of all of the billion people who live on Earth, yeah? There's no way that Leo can ever tell you that he knows for a fact that absolutely none of them are being privately gang stalked by an advanced technology agency or some shit like that. Like, how can you ever be certain that you haven't made the wrong enemy who's got a lot of money, who has actually employed people to survey you and shit like that? So it's like, that, I think that's it. It's like, I understand, and Leo is correct about the overall holistic point of the video and the meta point, but I think what I'm saying is that he could do with giving individual conspiracy theories more credit, because if you don't, you will never open your mind to the potential of it. Like, if they are spraying advanced technology, nanotech in the sky, or heavy metals, or if they are blocking the sun, or if the sickness industry is actually poisoning your food on purpose, like Big Pharma dovetails with fucking big food and big media. The sickness industry, you know, and like all of the stuff that happened during Schmovid, like, it's so evident, for fuck's sake. So, like, it's not a conspiracy theory, so I don't understand why people are still treating it as if it's a debate, because so much of it is just so blatantly obvious. And I know, like, if you are God and you are dreaming the whole thing from the center of infinity, and it is really solipsism, then I understand that, you know, duality, if duality is kind of a not really fundamentally true like that, and there are higher levels, then I do get it. But also, that's not how it seems in our day-to-day, is it? Like, we still go through duality, like, as an ego. So, like, it's not like you're always in, you know, if you're going to completely transcend duality, then you might as well just, like, literally, like, transcend all bias and then just literally eat fucking diarrhea out of the toilet, bro, at that point. Because that's, like, that's what happens when you do that, like, I know, not literally, that's kind of weird, bro. Come on, Loon, let's come this way. Good girl. Come on, you. Good girl. I don't know. But yeah, so check out a song by Payday Monsanto called Talmudic Eyes. And I notice as well how a lot of these spiritual teachings, they actually make you occupied with anything but the enemy. Whereas, like, wouldn't the enemy love to convince their prey or their slave that the slave is actually the only thing in the way of its own success? I do really resonate and love the radical self-responsibility stance of, like, basically, I think if the victim mentality is valid, ultimately, in reality, then reality would be cruel. I think it may not be anyone's fault, but it is everyone's responsibility, where I think if you're locked into a victim mentality, then reality is pointless. I think you must be able to take absolute responsibility and energetic sovereignty, and reclaim your sovereignty and self-responsibility, and self-ownership. I do think that for sure. And I do really like that approach. I kind of can't remember what I was going to say, sorry. I'll probably add another video to the end of this. But yeah, one other point finally. I'll check in again in a second and do an edit. But it's basically just, yeah, like when people are in poverty and then like people are going, oh, like that's your fucking, you're going to make excuses for the, as if it's like a, sorry, I'm getting distracted. But yeah, so sorry. So people are in poverty, right? And they want to build castles in the sky about how some reptilian is doing it for them, doing it to them, right? But it's like, poverty in itself is bullshit. If you're in poverty, you are getting ripped off, because nature is supposed to be able to support in abundance, yeah? Chances are, when Leo Gura says wage slavery, right? And he says that tribes have enslaved other tribes for all of humanity, yeah? And he talks about syndicates. I reckon Leo's in his own syndicate, yeah? Of some like Freemasonry looking shit, yeah? Which would explain some of his symbolism and his occultism type vibe. And he doesn't talk about Babylon ever. I don't know, he does a little bit in a way. Like he talks about how a lot of these jobs are evil and just feeding the machine and being like a battery for the Matrix in a way. He does talk about that. But yeah, what I mean is like, if you don't have sovereignty over your own like tribe and village and stuff, you are probably enslaved. Like if you're just a wage slave in the clockwork, yeah, you're getting fed off by sharks. That's not like, oh, people are just looking for conspiracies because everyone's fighting for scraps at the bottom. Yeah, why are they fighting for scraps at the bottom? Because they're at the bottom of like the pyramid scheme or something, right? I think Leo says something about society being a pyramid scheme. So yeah, it's like, in a way, Leo validates conspiracy theories at the same time as debunking like the mindset and deconstructing it, because it's like, he does admit at the same time that there is evil and that you can be enslaved by another tribe, and that people do exploit ignorance in other people for their own selfish gain. And that's all I'm saying, really, is like the sickness industry is likely a thing, you know? People profit from sickness. Life is a business type vibes. And if such thing is possible, then that's it. It's just entertaining the possibility. Like, when I start to research into cultural conditioning, cultural programming, cultural assimilation, the education so-called system, and the Rothschilds and the people who designed that whole system and things, it's like, I realised that I was just installed with loads of cultural stuff that is not even me at all. And then the psychedelics were like awakening to me, realising that everything that I'm living with is just an installed program. And people walk around just as empty vessels, like they don't even have any divine spark in them. Like, they're just like empty mirrors to an extent, where like, I don't know, just say for example optogenetics. There's this kind of conspiracy rabbit hole of controlling neurons with light using opsins, right? And like, I know the rabbit holes are ever receding and they're probably not worth my time and attention sometimes, but like, just entertaining the ideas expands my metaphysics as well, where like the idea that you could control neurons with light is a very interesting rabbit hole. And the more I go down the rabbit hole of research, I don't know at what point, like, because I can't actually prove a lot of these conspiracies wrong. And I guess it depends on my level of discernment sometimes on that, but it's like, for real, it's like, you start researching, like stratospheric aerosol injection, see, I don't know how much of it is valid, but say Payday Monsanto talks about reactive oxygen species, bio API, and the idea, like, I know that it could theoretically be possible. Like, for me, when I contemplate the potential deepest ramifications of propaganda and how far that could actually stretch in the social matrix, which Leo speaks about, like, things like that just blow my mind. Like, the fact that something like that is even, like, metaphysically possible, so to speak. Like, you know, the fact that I was born into a culture where psychedelics are illegal, that is a conspiracy in itself. Leo Gura has videos talking about deconstructing the stigma of psychedelics. And yeah, like, you know, how can you be born in a culture where psychedelics are illegal? Clearly there was other ages, and there will be other ages. You know, the fact that reality exists at all is so profound. So anything is really possible. And, you know, to me, is that not a conspiracy theory? If Leo wants to debunk conspiracy theories, he's like, well, how come psychedelics are illegal? And, like, medicine is illegal, and just things like that. Just like, there is fluoride in the water, there is chlorine in the water, there is an endocrine disruptor epidemic, there is, like, microplastics in blood, that we are, like, steamrolling the planet with concrete and things like that. Or, like, the you know, the world is, like, artificial intelligence is coming online, transhumanism is coming online, all of this sort of shit. And it's I also find Leo has a bias towards putting authority in institutions such as NASA, and he also seems to give politics a bit of credit also, where, like, I don't know if he knows to what extent that politics is a soap opera and it's just puppets on a string, or what, or to what extent he is a puppet on a string, you see. Some of your favourite New World Order illustrators have been threatened with death or simply bought. You're witnessing a transition, if you will entertain. Mr. Jones is owned by technicians who control things frame by frame. Or just like the schools, yeah, like, why is it that every school has, like, exclusively poisonous food? Like, get that, like, oh, people are fighting for scraps and they want someone to blame. Conspiracy theories. Like, how come then most of modern food is, like, polluted and acidic? Leo had said explicitly, because it's cheaper. It's not a conspiracy, it's because it's cheap to flip and make a profit. That's probably true in a lot of ways, to be honest, but I don't know, I think it's a lot more fucked up and sinister than that. Like, I don't know how much of it is literally devilish demon shit. Like, why is, like, so much of humanity, like, funding torture to eat and things like that? Like, stood in their own feces, so why would I want to eat these? Things like that. It's just like, why was I going to school? Like, why is everyone a zombot as well? That's a very good point. Why is everyone a zombot? Like, no one has any knowledge or wisdom at all. Like, everyone's just poverty in survival mode. Everyone's blind to the fact that the food that they're eating is killing them. Why is there, like, a disease and, like, a virus where, like, everyone is just kind of zombot? Like, what is that? What is this severe lack of actualization in humanity? Where, like, not long ago I said this point on my story. I'll try and find a screen recording maybe, but it's like, it don't matter who you listen to on the internet, any teacher, any personal development coach, any spiritual teacher, any whoever the fuck, right? They're, like, passing down wisdom through the screen to the viewer, yeah, to the audience. My question is, like, why is humanity in such need of information? Where it's like, why is it seem that the vast majority of human beings know literally fuck all? And I know that's not really giving people enough credit. Everyone can teach you a skill, even if they're kind of NPC brain dead and that, but it's like, everyone knows a few gold nuggets at least, and so does Leo, and so do I, which is why I recommend he may listen to people more. Like, instead of discrediting who they are because of who they are, it's like, who they are is how you see them to be. Fucking, like, Leo's not perfect, but I can still learn from him. I'm not perfect, but he can still learn from me. and he needs to humble himself and like get out of his echo chamber a bit, I think. But